Welcome to our continued coverage of the Republican Convention, which takes place from Monday to Thursday, today being the first day, coming barely 48 hours after that attempted assassination on former President Donald Trump. We are now joined by Artis Topinen. He is a longtime political strategist here in D.C., having worked in U.S. Congress for nearly 3 decades on the Republican side of the divide. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you. My pleasure. Great to be here.
Thank you. So, Oz, immediately after the attack, we saw Donald Trump raise up his fist and say, fight. And then later on, there were reports, quoting sources, that talked about Donald Trump being almost in a spiritual sort of state of mind. We're talking about this being a gift from God, a second chance. My question really is, what kind of version of Trump are we going to see over the next 4 days?
Well, I think that we're going to see, I could see the hashtag fighter-in-chief 2024. He's a fighter, Alistair. He is someone that believes in the United States. He believes in freedom and in democracy, and he's a billionaire. He could be enjoying in his yacht and in his golf courses all over the world, great time with Melania and his family, but yet he's making the sacrifice, because working in public office, public service is a sacrifice. He's making the sacrifice for the good of the United States. He sees this country in crisis, chaotic, and he wants to right the ship.
Do you think we're going to see him unify the nation, or are we going to see a defiant Trump over the next 4 days?
I think that he's going to unify the nation. We see that Ambassador Nikki Haley has agreed to be a speaker. She was not slated to speak. So Trump wants everyone in the Republican Party, from the most liberal Republican, like Ambassador Haley, to the most conservative Republican, like Senator Vance, and others, to be there, united together as one party, one America.
Now, the last American president that was the victim of an attempted attack or a shooting was Ronald Reagan. It happened right near behind us, yes, at Hilton Hotel. That's the Hilton Hotel. It happened 40 years ago in 1981. At that point in time, when that happened, it galvanized the nation. Reagan was almost, there was a lot of humor. For instance, he joked to his wife immediately after being shot about how he should have ducked. He looked at his surgeons and said, hope you guys are all Republicans here today, something along those lines. Yes. So he was seriously wounded. People thought he might not survive. How much of what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania is likely to change people's perception of Trump, especially those swing voters?
There are 2 influences that are different from 1981 to 2024. Number one is social media. The social media phenomenon has really galvanized people into their own parties, into their own teams, right? Democrats, Republicans. That has really galvanized and really separated the country. And number 2 is the cable news, which is now much more prevalent. That has also further divided the country. You have conservatives from Fox to liberals from MSNBC and others, and that has divided the country a whole lot. I think that President Trump's role, as well as President Biden, should be to unite the country. And we saw President Biden call for that unity yesterday, and President Trump has done the same.
But what do you think about those swing voters? Are they now likely to vote for Trump versus Biden?
I believe so, because I believe that they have seen his stamina, his perseverance, his fight. Like I said, hashtag fighter-in-chief 2024, President Trump. So I believe I could see that, and I believe that the American people want to change. The American people are very concerned over uncontrolled borders that we see with Mexico. We have it's an invasion. We have had about 10 million illegals coming into this country. Who are they? Some of them are in the terrorist list. And the FBI director has warned us that the United States Americans should prepare for a terrorist attack. I mean, what? That's what President Biden and the Democrats should have been doing, protecting the United States. We have crime, uncontrolled crime in major democratic cities. We have inflation, high gas prices, very poor education. So the American people want to change, and I believe that they see that change in President Trump.
This whole idea of galvanizing nation, it's all right now. People perhaps do feel that. Do you think it's going to sustain once people have somewhat forgotten about what happened over the weekend?
I think that when the United States in the past has been in this sort of unexpected, shocking trauma, like 9/11, the country comes together, right? Republicans and Democrats. I was in the Congress when we suffered the 9/11 attacks, and we were evacuated in the Capitol because we thought that another plane was going to attack the Capitol. Little by little, people tend to go back to their corners. I think that's going to be a challenge. We're going to have to stay focused and stay in a professional way. We could debate our differences, and it's good that we have 2 or 3 parties with the independents. But the fact of the matter is that we could have a civil debate. It does not have to turn into vitriol. It does not have to turn aggressive. We could have, we're educated, professional people, and we should have a conversation. I have many good friends that are Democrats in the Congress, and we still go and play golf after a debate on TV or after a strategy session. That they stood their ground and I stood mine. But the United States is good, and it has been so powerful because of the ability to compromise. Compromise in recent history has become a dirty word. We need to bring back compromise, set in the middle, and President Reagan knew that. President Reagan really aimed towards compromise, get to the middle, and get something accomplished.
Well, let's put the spotlight back onto the convention. Trump has left us guessing now for a long time as to who his vice presidential nominee will be. The reports that say that we may or may not hear about it today. We were originally expected to hear today. There are 3 names in the mix. Tell us about them.
Senator Rubio from Florida, Senator Vance from Ohio, and Governor Burgum from North Dakota.
And whom are you betting on?
Well, I would love to see Senator Rubio. He's a former intern of mine when he was very young, back in college, back in the early 90s in South Florida. But the news seems to be leading towards Senator Vance, and he has already Secret Service detail.
We'll come back to Vance in just a bit, but as far as Rubio goes, why do you think he's a perfect fit?
First of all, I know him. I believe that he is a very bright person, young, energetic, motivated, very intelligent. He put out, when he was running for president, in 2016, he put together a whole bunch of different proposals to be able to address the needs of the country, such as saving Social Security, inflation, and defense and other international policy papers. He knows a lot about foreign affairs. And in this global economy, we need someone who is really well-versed on foreign affairs issues.
To think that in help with what the Constitution says about the president and the vice president residing in the same state would potentially put things back for Rubio as far as being considered for this important position as vice president?
Not necessarily, because I think that could be remedied. We have former President Bush and former Vice President Cheney, both from Texas, and they were able to work out a deal. So I'm sure that, if he was selected, he will do the same.
So you've given Rubio a thumbs up. President Donald Trump's son, Donald Trump Jr., is giving him a thumbs down. He says that Rubio is a risk bet, can be part of a group along with Democrats that could eventually impeach former President Trump. He calls Rubio a rhino, which is Republican in name only. Do you think that's far-fetched, or do you worry about that?
I think it's far-fetched. It's totally false. Speaking of former President Reagan, when we were teenagers, we had posters of Farrah Fawcett, Charlie's Angels, other models, and guess who Senator Rubio had? He had President Reagan. Senator Rubio is a true conservative. However, he's a politician, he's realistic, and he has to compromise. And the fact of the matter is that in politics, like I mentioned before, if you don't get to the middle, you don't take a little bit from the Democrats and a little bit from the Republicans, your legislation is going nowhere. And I believe that Senator Rubio is a smart guy who knows politics, unlike Donald Trump Jr., who's a businessman. He doesn't know politics. He's learning more about politics now, but Senator Rubio is a savvy political leader, and that's why he compromises.
Let's go back to J.D. Vance. Now, you talked about him perhaps making it to the finish line. He's the senator from Ohio. He took to social media soon after the attempted assassination, and he sent some fairly inflammatory views about President Biden, calling him a fascist, also alluding to the fact that because of Biden's rhetoric, we saw this attempt on Trump. There are critics who say that's not becoming of the state's hope. Do you think he actually should be removed entirely from the run?
Not at all. Senator Vance has the heartbeat of the American people, the middle class, the working people, the people that before supported the Democrats who are now supporting the Republicans, in particular President Trump. The middle class is very angry. There's a lot of anger in the United States from the working class because they cannot afford rent, they cannot afford insurance, they cannot afford gasoline. Inflation has really disproportionately hurt the middle class, the working class. And Senator Vance represents those people.
But when you're talking about unifying the nation at this point in time, statements like that, the tweets like that, really no help.
But there's a lot of anger because the Democrats and President Biden has vilified President Trump. He's a normal human being who loves his country, and for someone to vilify a presidential candidate like President Biden has done and the Democrats is totally unacceptable. And that's why we see what we saw, in the assassination attempt. We don't know because the investigation is very early yet. We need to investigate. Why did this young man wanted to kill President Trump?
So my final question to you is regarding the DV nomination. Do you think the events over the weekend are likely going to have Trump re-elaborating about what he's looking for in a DV?
I don't think so. I think that the message is going to be recalibrated and it's going to be redesigned. As President Trump has stated, that he threw away his old speech and has a new speech based on what happened in Pennsylvania. But I think the message is the same. We need a strong America where we're respected. It's a global economy, and our enemies don't respect us now. You have the President Xi of China, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, and the Ayatollahs in Iran, and President. They don't respect President Biden. We see all these wars. When President Trump was president, we didn't have any wars at all. So the only times that the Russians have invaded Ukraine with President Obama, he took over Crimea, and President Obama did absolutely nothing. And now we see the same with President Biden. So I think that President Trump will continue to put his message forward on a strong America, America first, let's make America great again.
The reason I asked that is because now about Trump potentially recalibrating or looking at what he wants in that vice presidential nominee is because of what happened over the weekend. It really drives home the reality that this vice president could actually be in that presidency seat in the White House.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But we need a strong leader. We don't need a vice president who's going to shrivel and get to the wall or get to the side. No. We need a strong vice president with strong convictions, pro-American. Let's make America great again. That's what we need, and that's what President Trump is going to be.
Thanks very much.